making $50 a video and thought I was successful. I had clients, I had consistent work, I was posting about my UGC wins online, but here's the brutal truth that I never really wanted to admit. I was living in a prison. It was a prison with flexible hours and the ability to work from home, but it was still a prison. And maybe this resonates if you're stuck in the same cycle I was, constantly hustling for the next $50 gig, celebrating $100 deals like they're life-changing wins, working harder but never really getting ahead. Today I'm gonna tell you exactly how I broke out of the $50 video prison and completely reimagined my UGC business. Because what I discovered changed everything. Not just my income, my entire relationship with the industry. If you are tired of fighting for scraps and you're ready to understand what it actually takes to build a real business in UGC, this video is probably gonna make you slightly uncomfortable, but it might be exactly what you need to hear. Let me take you back to the middle of 2022. On paper, I was doing well, landing 2 to 3 brand deals a week, consistent flow of work, making a couple $1,000s a month from UGC, which felt amazing compared to my previous 9 to 5. But here's what was actually happening behind the scenes. I was spending 4 to 5 hours every day pitching brands, not creating content, just sending DMs, following up on emails, applying to campaigns on platforms like Aspire IQ and Coley. When I did get responses, I was competing with hundreds of other creators, and brands usually went with whoever worked for the lowest rate. I remember one particular week, I sent out around 60 pitch emails. I got 3 responses. 2 of them were already asking me to lower my already rock bottom rates. And the worst part was that I convinced myself this was normal. I told myself I was paying my dues, right? And eventually, if I just worked hard enough, things would get better. I was posting in creator Facebook groups and on Twitter about landing a $75 deal like it was a major victory, celebrating $100 campaigns like they were life-changing opportunities. Meanwhile, I was honestly working more hours than I had at my previous 9 to 5 for less consistent income with 0 benefits or security. But I kept telling myself I was building my UGC business. But the reality was I wasn't building a business at all. I was another content freelancer in an increasingly saturated market, competing on price and hoping brands would choose me. My breaking point came a couple weeks later. I had what I thought was going to be my biggest month ever. I had 7 different brand collabs lined up. I was convinced I was finally making it. I spent the entire month creating content, morning to night, filming, editing, writing captions, doing multiple rounds of revisions, completely consumed with my work. When the month ended, I added up my total, $3,300. But here's what really broke me. It wasn't the money. It was honestly the complete lack of respect. Brands treated me like I was so disposable, asked for endless revisions, delayed payments. Some even ghosted me after I delivered my content. I remember sitting in my apartment looking at my bank account and having this horrible realization. I had created a job for myself that paid less than minimum wage, with no benefits, no security, and clients who honestly treated me like garbage. That night, I called my mom and I told her I was honestly thinking about quitting UGC altogether. I was emotionally drained, financially stressed, and completely burnt out. She asked me a question that changed honestly everything for my mindset. Emma, are you building a business or are you just working really hard for little money? I honestly couldn't answer her. That is when I realized I wasn't building a business at all. I was trapped in a system designed to keep creators desperate and competing against each other for scraps. That's when I made the decision that changed my life. I was going to completely reimagine how I approached UGC. Before I share what changed, I need to explain exactly what was wrong with the traditional UGC approach. Because honestly, a lot of creators are still trapped in that same system today. Problem number 1 is the race to the bottom. The traditional UGC model is built on competition, thousands of creators competing for the same opportunities, with brands naturally choosing whoever will work for the lowest price. That creates a race to the bottom where the successful creators are the ones willing to work for less, not the ones who actually deliver better results. Problem number 2, no differentiation. When you pitch yourself as just someone who creates UGC, you're immediately lumped in with thousands of other creators saying the exact same thing. Brands see you as very interchangeable. If you won't work for $50, they'll find someone else who will, because they think all UGC creators deliver the exact same thing. Problem 3, transactional relationship. Every interaction with brands was very, very transactional. Create content, get paid, move on to the next. No relationship building, no long-term thinking, no real partnership, which meant I was constantly starting from zero with every single opportunity. Problem number 4, no control over my income. My income really depended entirely on how many brands I could convince to work with me each month. If I got sick, took a vacation, had a bad month pitching, my income would completely disappear. I had built a business model that required me to work 12-hour days just to maintain basic income levels. Problem 5, positioning as a cost center. This was the biggest problem. I was positioning myself as an expense to brands, not an investment. When brands looked at UGC creators, they saw us as kind of a cost to minimize, not an asset to actually invest in. That's why brands always tried to negotiate rates down and treated creators like vendors instead of partners. So with nothing left to lose, I made a radical decision. I was going to stop being a UGC creator and start being something else entirely. I spent 2 weeks studying successful service-based businesses outside of the creator economy. Marketing consultants, business strategists, agency owners. I wanted to understand how they positioned themselves and structured their services. And here's what I actually figured out. Successful service providers do not compete on price. They compete on value and results. That's when I developed what I now call the strategic partner method, the system that takes you from a replaceable UGC creator into a face of the brand for the companies you work with. So change number 1, strategic positioning. Instead of pitching myself again as someone who creates UGC, I started positioning myself as someone who helps brands build authentic customer connections through content partnerships. The difference in language was honestly pretty subtle. The impact was massive because I wasn't selling content creation. I was selling business results. Change number 2, package-based pricing. Instead of charging per video, I created monthly retainer packages focused on actual outcomes instead of deliverables. My basic package was $1,500 a month and included content planning, brand voice development, and performance optimization, not just content creation. That immediately separated me from creators charging $50 a video because I wasn't even in the same category anymore. Change number 3, results-driven approach. I started tracking everything: engagement rates, click-through rates, conversion data. I provided monthly reports showing exactly how my content was impacting their businesses. That transformed me from a cost center to a profit center in their eyes. Change 4, long-term relationship building. Instead of treating every brand interaction as a one-off, I focused on building long-term partnerships. I'd start conversations by asking about their business goals for the next 6 to 12 months, not just their immediate content needs. Change 5, authority-based outreach. Instead of sending generic pitch emails, I started leading with insight. I'd research brands, identify specific opportunities for improvement, and open conversations by sharing recommendations, not asking for work. The results of this reimagining were immediate. In my first month using the new approach, I landed 2 retainer clients at $1,500 and $3,000 per month. That was already more monthly recurring revenue than I'd ever made from traditional UGC monthly. But more importantly, the quality of my client relationships changed completely. Instead of brands treating me like a vendor, they started treating me like a partner. They'd ask for my input on campaign strategies, product launches, brand positioning decisions. Instead of competing with hundreds of other creators, I was often the only person they were considering. Within 6 months, I had built a consistent $10,000 a month recurring revenue base. And then within a year, I was consistently at $15,000 months. But the biggest change wasn't just the financial, it was psychological. I went from feeling very, very desperate and replaceable to extremely confident and valuable. From working constantly to having a predictable, manageable workload. From competing on price to actually commanding premium rates. Most importantly, I had built a real business, not just a hustle. A real example to show you how dramatic this shift was. In July 2022, using the old model, I worked with a skincare brand. They paid me $75 for 3 videos. The collaboration lasted 1 week and I never heard from them again. February 2023, using the new model, I started working with a similar skincare brand. They paid me $3,200 a month for a strategic content partnership. That relationship lasted me much longer and generated over $40,000 in total revenue. Same industry, similar content creation requirements, just a completely different positioning, pricing, and outcomes. If you're trapped in this $50 video prison right now, here's how to start reimagining your own UGC business. Step 1, change your positioning. Stop calling yourself a UGC creator. Start positioning yourself as a strategic content partner or brand development specialist. Step 2, package your services. Create retainer-based packages focused on business outcomes, not content quantity. Step 3, lead with value. In your outreach, lead with insights and recommendations, not just requests for work. Step 4, track and report results. Start measuring the business impact of your content and reporting on those metrics. And then step 5, think long term. Focus on building ongoing partnerships, not one-off collaboration. Because here's the truth, this transition is not easy. It requires you to completely reimagine how you think about UGC and your role in the ecosystem. But if you're tired of working harder for less money, if you're tired of competing with thousands of other creators for scraps, if you're ready to build a real business instead of just a hustle, this is truly the only way forward. The UGC industry is evolving fast. The creators who adapt to this approach will thrive. The ones who don't will stay trapped in the $50 video prison forever. If you want help making this transition, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. EST, I run a free live masterclass where I walk through this exact system. The full strategic partner method, the forward positioning shift that turns $50 gigs into $5,000 retainers, how the numbers really work, and real examples from real students. The link to register is in the description, or you can go to ugccreatorcollective.com/live masterclass. But whether you come to the masterclass or not, please understand this. You have a choice. You can stay trapped in the prison of low-paying transactional UGC work, or you can break free and build something real. The key is truly in your hand. The question is whether you're ready to use it. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.